There is pride and there is passion for these young people who arrived a short time ago in our country and are now able to conjugate an Italian verb or even reinterpret songs that are typical of the Tuscan tradition. Our journey among the guests, volunteers and operators of the Partecipazione e Sviluppo, Participation and Development charity, takes us to the Maremma in the countryside near Grosseto, to this house, around which asylum seekers carry out various activities. The objective is to promote integration with language learning and vocational training. But do they learn Italian?
Lo imparano con lavoro e costanza.
They put a lot of effort and commitment into learning. I have to say that these guys are not afraid of the amount of work and they're happy to get on with it because nearly all of them have realised that knowing Italian is the starting point for integration into Italian society and the search for a job, because many of them have that in mind. So they are learning, and when they have learnt something, they are quite proud of themselves.
Questo è l'orto del campo, sono stati piantati dei pomodori.
This is a vegetable garden. Tomatoes, aubergines, lettuce, onions have been planted. Various produce that comes from the local area. The lads work very hard, they do gardening and watering, and I have to say that results have been well beyond expectations.
Qualsiasi più rosea previsione.
Obviously, the produce from the kitchen garden is consumed by the guys themselves. And so there's something genuine about these efforts that we find a positive aspect.
Poi insieme a questo i laboratori degli animali.
Along with this, we also have animal pens. A chicken coop has been built for hens, obviously, and we have pigeons and rabbits. I must say that fresh eggs every morning is an excellent spin-off. Together with this, let's say, more agricultural work, workshops have also been set up for woodwork, for example. Just small scale really, but things that keep them busy during the hours of the day. But they're also involved in bricklaying, plastering and painting work. Work that doesn't serve so much as job training as a way of keeping them busy. But they learn to solve little problems, and this will help them with their lives in Italy.
Che serviranno a loro per la vita in Italia.
The party in Lucca is really just the crowning moment of a months-long activity that has involved the association in many different locations in the provinces of Grosseto, Siena, Sassari and the Valle del Cerchio.
This organisation is very well structured. I am involved specifically in the coordination of personnel and services. So, I am the person who, more than any other, schedules the weekly activities, which will then of course be carried out by staff skilled in these areas. And the activities with the asylum seekers is even more enjoyable because you come into contact with different situations and different cultures. So in my work it's not just a question of precision, but also my passion and my desire to dedicate myself to those who have come to Italy with specific needs.
The association is based in Bagni di Lucca, and here the work in all the reception centres is coordinated. Participation and Development was set up in 2011 with specific aims and characteristics.
Sì, sicuramente l'associazione nasce...
Yes, the association was born as a voluntary association. In fact, we're categorised in regional register under Law 266 of 1991. A voluntary association that immediately got down to work with what is most important, that is the needs and demands of the moment of the local area of Lucca, Grosseto and the whole of Italy in welcoming these people. Public bodies were unable to cope with the resources they had, and that's why the voluntary sector stepped in to fill the gaps and make its contribution. At the moment we have 30 members and we're involved in various activities. The most important one, I'd say, is the One Book a Month project. It's a venture that we want to promote alongside the strictly social initiatives of a cultural nature to show and spread good practices and the activities we carry out. The first two activities were the presentation of two books. The first was Ismail and the Big Sea Crocodile, and the other is the story of some woman, recounted by Aziza Kuribet, who is one of our employees in the Grosseto area. Do voluntary associations help much?
Assolutamente sì, soprattutto quando
Absolutely yes, especially when they manage, and this is true not only for voluntary associations but also for the institutions, when they manage to work in a coordinated way with the institutions, and when they work strongly together with the institutions at establishing positive relationships with towns, citizens, and the situation of the local area.
I paesi con i cittadini, con le realtà del territorio.
Le risorse che eroga il Ministero dell'Interno attraverso la Prefettura vengono utilizzate per i bisogni degli ospiti, dei richiedenti asilo.
The resources arrive because they are supplied by the Ministry of the Interior via the Prefecture, and they are used to meet the needs of the asylum seeker guests. And so they're used for food, clothes and anything they might need, including pocket money of €2.50 a day. And obviously this money helps to make the local economy move.
Che lavorano in associazione sono assunte, quindi hanno
Since the people who work for the association are hired and thus have a job, and all the purchases made in the local area, in the shops and supermarkets, contribute to the local economy. And since the association is a voluntary one, the charity is non-profit, so everything that comes into the association is reinvested, always for social ends. So no profit is made. All the revenue that enters goes out for the same purposes.
Cioè quello che entra poi esce per le stesse finalità.
La lezione di oggi si basa sui verbi.
Today's lesson is based on verbs of the first, second and third conjugations. Now I'd like to ask one of the guys to please give us a summary of Italian verbs. There you go, Sion.
Questa è l'attività dell'insegnamento della lingua italiana di partecipazione e sviluppo e siamo esattamente nella
This is the Italian teaching activity in the study centre Piano di Colleglia in the province of Lucca. In the centre we are holding an Italian language lesson because Italian is fundamental for these guys for communicating inside the centre, but also, more importantly, with the outside world.
I laboratori sono dei laboratori occupazionali per tenere impegnati i ragazzi per tutta la giornata. Quindi
These are vocational workshops aimed at keeping the young men occupied all day. So maybe in the morning they'll have an Italian grammar lesson. In the afternoon they'll be involved in other activities such as citizenship training, since they have to know what the rights and duties of citizens and immigrants are. Things like waste sorting. So they learn how to interact with the local area, how to live peacefully, and above all, they learn about local regulations.
E imparare soprattutto le regole del territorio.
Some of the foreigners who were originally guests here have become directly involved in the organisation of activities in various facilities. Trust is repaid with enthusiasm.
Quando sono arrivato in Italia e sono venuto all'associazione come le ragazze che...
When I arrived in Italy, like the guys you've just seen, I was also the guest of the association, and from that experience, trust grew and I was offered a job by the association.
E dopo loro mi hanno dato un'offerta di lavoro dell'associazione.
Io faccio lavoro che serve l'associazione, i vestiti.
I do a job for the association in which I take care of clothes, used clothes, new underwear, new socks. And when the new asylum seeker residents arrive here, they need clothes because when they arrive in Italy, they arrive without clothes, without socks, without anything, so the association gives them what they need.
Quindi l'associazione si danno loro tutti tutti che loro servono.
I am very happy about the trust the association has put in me.
Io lavoro con il mio collega che chiamo Marco.
I work with my colleague named Marco. Marco helps me a lot to learn this job. This is my first job in Italy.
Questo lavoro è il lavoro umano e si fa col cuore prima di tutto.
The work is a human activity and it is done with the heart above all. It's not a job like other jobs. Okay, normally you look for a job, you find one, and at the end of the month you have a salary, and so do I. But apart from the salary, there is also my personal satisfaction. Because if I see a guy who is suffering and can't explain himself to a doctor, I am able to help with my little contribution. And when these little problems are solved, I see the satisfaction in the eyes of the guys, and this is enormously rewarding for me.
Also for the participation and development operators, this is not just a job.
Per questo lavoro ci vuole passione, perché non è facile, sia dal punto
You need passion for this kind of job because it's not easy, either from the administrative or human point of view, and so passion is essential. You have to relate to these guys. Being able to put yourself in their shoes is vital.
Vai tutti insieme. Io sono Yusuf, brutto.
Lavorare in questo contesto significa stringere rapporti.
Working in this field means building up a close relationship with these guys at a human level. These are great guys, at least the ones I've had the chance to meet. Let's ask Veronica, who works in Prata, in the municipality of Massa Marittima, with a group of young Nigerian women, what led her to get involved in this field.
Ma io parto da una formazione professionale.
I started off my professional training as a social worker, and so for me, interpersonal relations with people are fundamental. I'm happy because this is not just a professional kind of job, but it is also a job involving relationships, and that's the important thing.
Quello più importante, cerco di avvicinarmi a loro, di accoglierli.
I try to get close to them, to make them feel welcome and give them the foundations for their future integration. We've had an excellent response from the local people. We organised a special day, the 14th of August, during which our young people went to lunch with the people of Prata, and we also received a request from a cultural association here in Prata to have a public meeting, all together, at which we will introduce the young people, very informal, and they will present some typical dishes from their own countries so that the local townsfolk can get to know them better.
Valentina is a young intercultural mediator and teaches Italian to the asylum seekers. This is what she says about the climate of distrust that sometimes builds up in this kind of situation.
La diffidenza la superi nel momento in cui li conosci, perché molto spesso questi ragazzi non hanno l'occasione di poter parlare con la gente.
Distrust is overcome when people get to know each other better, because often these young people don't have the chance to speak to the local people, who continue to view them as strangers and as dangerous people. But as soon as you create situations of integration and the opportunity for dialogue with the local people, you see a complete transformation, because meetings and mutual exchange are the first steps in opening up to integration between the communities.
Indeed, our knowledge of them is often superficial, limited to what we see on TV or read in the newspapers. Christian, a Protestant missionary who was in the Maxi camp of Idomeni in Greece at the beginning of 2016, has this to say.
Quando uno va lì e veramente parla con le persone, sta in contatto con le persone, capisce.
When you actually go there and talk to the people, have contact with the people, you understand their stories, what they have lived through. Your whole vision changes if you see the reality behind these scenes.
I richiedenti asilo sono già molto contenti.
The asylum seekers are very happy to have been received in Italy in a democratic action that is underscored by the concept of freedom, participation and democracy. And we are happy because we see that our work is beginning to bear fruit. There are people who have found jobs as community workers, there are some who play football for semi-professional sides, and there are others who sing in gospel choirs in local parish churches. In short, we're gradually seeing that integration is more than possible.